really think that one through, quite honestly. I was hosting an event for a bunch of different, partners, referral partners, and so forth. A little kind of VIP networking thing at Top Golf. We have a Top Golf.
I love Top Golf. I love it.
Yeah, so we were doing that for several hours earlier this afternoon, and my buddy and I said, "Hey, we need to go watch this game. I'm going to be on this podcast later. I got to make sure I'm watching." So didn't think it through.
Well, we'll forgive you.
It's okay. Top Golf is a good excuse.
It's okay.
I accept that any day of the week.
So, Dave, why don't we get started right away with the game? I did take some notes, so I guess I can jump in.
I did as well.
You might have to say. Go ahead, Dave. You go ahead and get started on whatever you want to talk about.
So I got to go ahead and give a shout out to a guy that I've watched, but I have not kind of recognized. And he's been putting everyone on notice is Curtis Bolton. Ty Summers last week impressed me the way he played, and he showed that he can handle a little coverage. But Curtis Bolton was running stride for stride with tight ends and running backs tonight, and he caught a tip pass for an interception. And the guy might be a blessing in disguise for the Burks injury. Also, too, on a side note, Burks' injury is not as bad as they originally thought. It doesn't have to have surgery, and it can heal on its own. And we should have him back 6 to 8 weeks from now, around that timetable. So he can show up in a really important stretch.
I would say, honestly, in my experience, and probably not having near as healthy of a body as he did, I tore my left pec in 2012 while I was training for an MMA fight.
That tickled.
And continued to train one-armed, and was even convincing myself I could fight with one arm. I was doing so well. And I woke up one morning it was around the 4-week mark, the week of the fight, actually, and it healed. And I had like a fist-sized knot my pec had turned into that I ripped from doing a burpee. So I would say with all the stuff he's got, I would say right around the 4-week range, we'll see Oren Burks back. And they'll probably get...
That's why I was referring to like week 5 to week 6, because that's when we start going on that road stretch, and we really need everything we can get for it, because that's when we stop running into those home games we had in the beginning. So I think it'll help out a lot. Another guy I want to give a shout out to tonight, he keeps showing out. Alan Lazard had a good game last week, 3 receptions, 63 yards, and he seems to be there when the QBs need him, and he's quietly sneaking up that wide receiver ranking, man. Same thing with Darius Shepard. Darius Shepard caught a touchdown tonight, and on top of that, it makes me think Trevor Davis is hurt again, and he hasn't been back since he pulled his hamstring or whatever he's dealing with. He always has something, and I am a big Trevor Davis backer this year, but Darius Shepard makes him expendable, and I'm almost leaning on Green Bay keeping 7 wide receivers, but I don't want to do it.
Dave, it's not going to happen. You can fall in love with all the receivers you want. The numbers will not afford it. Especially
I know.
You watch the defense tonight. You watch the defense tonight. Those extra bodies are going to the defensive side. And you saw the run game. They're obviously, as much as they want to spread the ball out, they're still running the ball. So it's just these receivers are pretty much guaranteeing they're going to be on somebody else's roster if they're cut, or they're making the practice squad, and they're going to be filling in for games, or who knows, Geronimo Allison might go down. You just never know. But look, this 6 wide receivers is as far as I'm stretching it, and I still don't see it happening unless there's just some unforeseen scenario. The numbers just don't afford it this year. There's too many needs on the defensive side, and just too many damn good players. And you saw tonight, that defense, they're going to need bodies. There's some work still to be done with this team, and I know it's preseason, but they got kind of smashed in the mouth as far as the big plays and being gashed in the run game.
The run defense is getting gashed left and right by Ingram and Jackson.
So they got some work.
That was my thing. And that was my thing is Tremont Williams was one of the guys that kind of went with the bad tonight. He, as much as I want to have faith in this guy, I was glad he came back. I was glad he slipped the slot corner this year. But man, I watched Lamar Jackson juke him out of his shoes tonight, and it just looks like Tremont may have lost another step on top of what he's already lost. And I really hope that's not the case. But if it is, I wouldn't be surprised to see a possible roster cut, maybe right before week 1, to make room for those younger DBs.
What do you think, Ryan?
So a couple things. Jay, you actually brought something up that I was actually gonna bring up as well. It sounds like we had a similar injury when it comes to the Oren Burks injury. And last fall, I tore my pec also while training, and I came back pretty quickly without surgery. So when I'd heard what he had done, and everyone was talking about, how he's done for the season, and this is what they saw in terms of where he was icing, the location, and all that, it sounds like almost the identical injury to what I had. And sure enough, like what you said, you can come back a lot sooner from that than what people think. So don't put Oren Burks out of the equation just yet, because it sounds like you and myself, who have actually both done something very similar, I would agree. About 4 weeks, I was back doing things that I was doing previously. So, and I would say I was fully healed at about 6 weeks.
Oh,
so
don't
now
get
my
me
pec
wrong.
doesn't look.
It was painful as hell, and I could not move my arm. But I mean,
I almost passed out because
of
shock when it happens. Yeah.
It hurt,
yeah.
And I had, like I said, I had a fist-sized knot up there. But I didn't even go to the doctor because I'm not a doctor person like that. And but yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think he'll be.
I went to an orthopedic surgeon. I actually had it looked at, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't need surgery. There's really nothing we can do about it. It's just going to heal on its own." The only thing that happens now is, unfortunately, my pecs aren't exactly like the same shape anymore, but it is what it is. But on a different note, no, I agree with what you said, Dave, in terms of the Curtis Bolton. He definitely looked good. He shined. He showed the capabilities that we already kind of knew about him coming in terms of his coverage ability and his athletic ability. Obviously, having the pick, he was in the right place at the right time. But hey, he made the play, and that's what counts. There's a lot of people that sometimes that happens and they don't make the play. So that's a big deal. I think Jake Kumro has absolutely solidified his spot on this roster. It's not even a question anymore. He is absolutely on the 53. In fact,
Whitewater Jesus, baby.
He's one of the top 3 receivers right now in my mind on this team. So
he definitely looks more consistent and more polished and more refined and more of a complete receiver at this point than Geronimo Allison. I think he has surpassed not only with his relationship and rapport with the quarterback, but with his production, and just his all-around game just seems a step or notch or two above where Geronimo Allison has been and is right now. I think you saw it again tonight.
Absolutely.
Every time that he was on the field, it was a big play. He was open right away. The quarterbacks were able to find him, and he. You brought up this point. I think it was last Tuesday, and I've really watched it. He has remarkable late hands. That kid's hands don't come up until the absolute last second, to the point where DBs really don't have any chance of swatting at the ball because his hands aren't. They don't know where to swat the ball at. You brought it up, and I have watched it, and yes, I believe that even if they only keep 5, he is one of those 5, and he has proven it. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. That's the only thing I can say about him. Him and Allison make me nervous as hell about their health. That's all.
So Kumro tonight, he's shown late hands, like you said. He has very confident hands. He's very confident in his catching ability, the exact opposite of what Jamon Moore is going through right now. But something he showed me tonight on one play in particular, he did about 3 different moves during his route on Marlon Humphrey.
Are you talking about the 26-yarder? The big one he had?
He absolutely shook him on that play. And if you rewatch that, It was the little subtle things. Again, we keep saying the same thing about him. It's the little details. It's the subtleties that he does so well that really actually impressed me. That's an NFL receiver. And he did that on that one play. He had major separation on that.
That's a Pro Bowl corner. He's doing that too.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Marlon Humphrey's good.
You also have to remember he's doing this without the benefit of having a Davante Adams on the field with him at the same time.
Or an Aaron Rodgers.
Being right, to be able to draw coverage. So to me, that makes it even more impressive because he's doing it with being the receiver on the field. I believe that when he walks on the field, defense is key to him because when you watch the tape, he's the most consistent guy that they have. I know Lazard has shown flashes and people like Shepard and all these guys, but Kumerow, when he steps on the field, when Adams isn't on the field, he is the number one guy and the most consistent and puts up the most results right now on all those receivers.
And I have to say this. I am not the type of Packer fan that there's a lot of these people that I see on Twitter that if you're a white wide receiver in Green Bay, they freaking love you. I am not that guy. I could care less about Jared Abbrederis. I could care less about
Jeff Janis.
Jordy Nelson or Jeff Janis or Jake Kumerow just because they're this white wide receiver, whatever.
Don
they're
Beebe.
underrated.
I like them because they're good.
I love Don Beebe. Don't get me wrong.
Everyone loves the Beebe.
The point of me saying that is this. I don't look at Jake Kumerow like I already think he is touchdown Jesus and that he's God. I look at him, if anything, the opposite. I look at him with a bigger microscope, with a bigger, you better prove me otherwise type of attitude. And he is doing that. He's actually showing me a lot of things right now that I'm like, okay, this guy can play. That's impressive. Where some of these other receivers aren't showing me that. So I just want to put that out there because I'm not one of those fans that roots for this guy just because I feel like we should root for him. I'm not that guy.
I won't speak for Dave, but I'm sure he will second and third that. I second that sentiment. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, skin color is stupid based on wide receivers. If you're good, you're good. That's it. Plain and simple.
He is, and I believe that Mark Tauscher said this, and the more I watch him, the more I believe that Tauscher was absolutely right. I honestly believe, and I think Tauscher believes it too, when you watch him, he has a great chance of leading this team in receptions. Not touchdowns, not yards, not any, but just being a reception and target monster and doing, because like you said, he does the little things. And if Kumerow stays healthy, because everything we've talked about, the only negative thing I worry about with Kumerow is his health, and that's because of his track record so far. Because he's absolutely, like you said, Ryan, he has shown and proven the reason we're supporting him is because you can compare his breaks in and out to Davante Adams. For a guy that's an undrafted free agent coming out of college, that's something to be said because that's something that he obviously had to work on to make himself better, or he would have been drafted coming out of college if he was more polished. He has put in the work. It's shown up. The results are there, and therefore he deserves for us to give him, the recognition and recognize him and root for him. It absolutely has nothing to do with where he came from or this color of his skin. You're right, Ryan. That was a great comment.
So anyway, so I think that was something that in my mind solidified that. A couple other things real quick is I think Big Bob Tanyan's going to be tight end too, and if
Bobby
not careful,
looks good,
tight end one. I liked Tanyan a lot last year. I think the unfortunate thing was he was stuck as the fourth tight end on a depth chart in a Mike McCarthy offense that really doesn't highlight tight ends. So he was just kind of screwed. But if you look at his ability, he's got really good hands, really good soft hands. He's a lot more athletic than people maybe give him credit for. I think he is going to be a pretty dang good tight end for the Green Bay Packers moving forward. And
on a side
Jimmy
note
Graham,
with tight ends, did you see where Jimmy Graham was lined up today?
I wasn't paying attention, no.
It was split out wide.
Sorry, Dave, because you said it for me.
I never said he was ever going to be split out wide.